Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Encounter Podcast. But what are you doing over there? Welcome back to the show, guys. Excited you guys are with us today. First, I'm going to start by addressing why my voice sounds like this.
The elephant in the room.
I was at the K-State game this weekend, and then we were at a Riley Green concert last night, which was fantastic.
Whoa, no free promos.
Whoa.
An
Nah.
unnamed team and an unnamed artist.
But all that to say, I was yelling a lot, and I was really loud, so my voice is not doing the greatest right now. But we're going to rock with it.
It's better. The Lord is healing him because it's better
Way
than
better.
it was.
This morning was tragic.
Yeah.
But all that to say, today we're going to be talking about comparison and competition, how we've seen it in our lives and how we've seen the Lord work through it. And then hopefully we're going to give you guys some pointers that are actually applicable in your life. Some things that we've seen work in our life to combat competition and comparison and to help us to be more fruitful in the community that God has placed us in.
I got something stuck in my throat, but we're going to roll with it. All right. All right, we're locked. Here we go. Do you have the timer?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to set a 15-minute timer and then move on to application points so that we're not just yapping all night long. So, here we go.
On the clock.
Sweet. So, one way I've seen comparison work in my life is specifically in being used by the Lord. And it came from this mindset of, oh, well, this is a good thing. You know, I want to be used by the Lord, right? And striving to be used by the Lord. But then I got upset when other people got opportunities that I wanted, right? Like opportunities to share the gospel, opportunities to witness, or opportunities to like speak at youth or young adults, you know, all these things. I remember like even seeing you talk to people and share the gospel, and I'm like, well, I'm just upset, you know, I didn't get to do that. And it's like, what on earth is going on? And so the Lord was kind of like, hey, if I choose to use them, then it's for my glory, you know? And so he kind of exposed this in me of like, if you're getting so upset about someone else being used by the Lord, then you don't actually care about him being glorified.
Yeah.
You care about being glorified yourself. And so God was like, shot that down. He shot that down quick. Yeah. And I was like, oh, shoot, you're right. So then I just started reading in the New Testament, all the epistles, the letters, and something that stuck out to me in this time of my life was that Paul thanks God. He writes, I thank God every time I think of you for like the way the Lord is using you, the way that you are bold in the way you're growing in the Lord, right? And I was like, I want that so bad. And I prayed for months and months and months. But one time I actually like saw this start to work and change in my heart is when we started using accountability to walk with someone in their calling from the Lord rather than comparing your calling and their calling, right?
Like walking in their successes with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a specific example is we go to the Bahamas. You know, we go to the Bahamas every now and then.
Of course, who doesn't?
Long story, but we talked a lot there about using accountability to share the gospel, right? Because it can be scary, like going up to somebody who has never heard the gospel, or going up to a complete random stranger and being like, hey, the Lord told me to come talk to you, right? That can be scary, and I can talk myself out of that so easily. So I was like, hey, like, let's use accountability to not shy away from these things and to not like just confess sins, but to empower each other in what the Lord's calling us to do. And
like encouraging each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we were sitting on the plane, and I'm sitting by Ethan. I'm talking because I do that well. I
Way
talk
too much.
a lot. You didn't have to agree.
Oh.
But anywho, so he's not locked in. I'm talking.
Pretty typical, I'm not going to lie.
Pretty. And then he turns to me and he's like, I've not been listening, but I just feel like the Lord told me to pray with that lady who walked past. And I was like, okay, sweet. And then we took off, so he couldn't, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so glad you told me, though, because like I get to be a part of this, right? It's not what the Lord's told me to do, and it's not what the Lord has for me, but the Lord can use me to be an encouragement to you. And so I can walk with you alongside you in what the Lord's calling you to do as an encouragement,
Yeah.
but not actually steal the show, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not about me, it's about the Lord. And if the Lord told you to do something, the Lord has a specific purpose for using you,
Yeah.
right? And so it won't work the same with me.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've even talked about this before, but think about David and Nathaniel, right?
Jonathan. Yeah.
Oh, that's awkward. But think about David and Jonathan, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like Jonathan is the next king in line.
Uh-huh.
Like he's the prince. Like his dad's the king. Like it's supposed to be his kingdom next, right?
Yeah.
But the Lord anoints David. I mean, and just like you talked about, Jonathan could have came into that with an attitude of, "Oh, this is mine. Like
Yeah.
this is my show." But what you see is Jonathan, coming alongside of David, and they're friends too. Like let's start there. Like
Mhm.
they have a very intimate and strong friendship.
Yeah.
But you see Jonathan. Sorry, I don't know why. You see Jonathan coming alongside David
Yeah.
and encouraging him and building him up and understanding that even
Yeah.
though it's supposed to be his, like he's still supporting David
Yeah.
because that's what the Lord has.
And you see him defer to the Lord's will, right?
Yeah.
Because if I was in that mindset, well, if I was in that situation and I was the next heir to the throne, I'd be like, well, God, like you can use me just the same. Like,
Yeah.
why don't you just do this through me, But
Yeah.
no, he was so quick to, all right, God, I'm going to submit to your will and then hand this over to David, and not just hand it over and leave, but I'm going to support David and do everything in my power to be an encouragement to him
Yeah.
so that I can walk alongside him in what you have for him.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, that right there is a great example
yeah,
of, coming alongside of somebody and instead of looking at yourself and comparing, oh, well, why is David the king?
mm-hmm.
Am I not big enough? Am I not strong enough? Am I not
Yeah.
smart enough? Like, am I not handsome enough? Like, why doesn't the Lord want to use me in this situation? Instead of having that mindset, he's looking at, listen, that's the will of the Lord. And I understand that ultimately
Yeah,
that's what's most important. And that's what's going to be the most fruitful.
yeah,
Just like you said, he's deferring to the will of the Lord. And he trusts the Lord in that.
and it's not like the Lord just didn't want to use Jonathan at all, right?
Yeah.
So Jonathan had those eyes to see, okay, if this is not where the Lord wants me, then I'm going to look for where he does.
Mm.
And he found that in being the encouragement to David, being that close friend,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so he ultimately took a step back, said, okay, Lord, I am okay with being in the background, but I'm still involved. And I thank you that I get to have that opportunity to be involved. And he took that. And honestly, like we look and there's so many times that David would have died or not known what to do
Yeah.
without Jonathan. And so,
Think of the arrow shooting, right?
yeah,
That example of that where he says I don't really know the story, but I know that I know that he gets like the word from his dad basically like either we're gonna go to kill David or we're gonna like it'll be chill and he can come back, right?
yeah,
And so he has this guy shoot the arrow to warn David
Mhm.
like, hey dude, you gotta get out of town. Like my dad's gonna try to kill you, right? So even in that, like not only is he just like stepping aside, but just like you said, like
yeah.
he's actively promoting
Mhm.
David's success in the Lord because he knows that that's what's going to be most fruitful.
Come on. There we go.
It's the Bible. It's the Bible.
Bars. Yeah. No, I think it's cool. And I think the Lord's kind of been showing me recently how I don't have to be the one to reach thousands of people to have a life that is so meaningful,
Yeah.
And so if I am an encouragement to someone and like that's my only purpose. If I encourage you and then I go die, if I'm a great friend to you and then get in a car wreck and die, and then you reach 10,000 people
Mm.
and I get to play a part in that by encouraging you.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I just think I've seen recently that like the Lord has different purposes, but it doesn't mean one's greater or one's less.
No. I mean, Paul talks about, in the New Testament, like each part of the body is important.
Mm-hmm.
If we're all the eye, it's just the eye. If we're all the foot, it's just a foot,
Yeah.
But each person plays an important role in the church body and in the will of the Lord, in the ministry that he has on earth for us. So if we start comparing ourselves, oh well, I want to be somebody that reaches out. I want to be the hand of the body instead of I
Yeah.
want to be I'm the eye and I want to be the hand. I can see it, but the Lord has somebody else set in place to be the one that does a certain role in reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as soon as we start comparing those things, then that really just steals the joy in the purpose that the Lord has for us.
Yeah.
They say comparison is the thief of joy,
Yeah.
and that seems to be like a pretty accurate statement because
Very.
it takes whatever purpose the Lord has for you and it makes it seem either better or it makes it seem less meaningful,
Yeah.
depending on the way that you view it, you know? And so that can totally just, you are undermining and undercutting the role that the Lord has for you in church,
Come on.
in people's lives, like wherever that's at. You're completely cutting that out from under yourself because, you want to do something else or you think somebody else would be better at it than you.
Yeah.
But maybe the Lord has you where he has you because you're the one that's going to do it to the best or you're the one that's going to do it the way that's going to be the most impactful in somebody's life. Whether
Yeah.
that's friendships, whether that's simply like showing somebody love and just like a general gesture, whatever that may be,
Yeah, that's good.
So comparison completely steals the mindset
Yeah.
of the Lord wanting to, well, it just steals the mindset of joy and steals
Yeah.
the mindset of being
Don't-
productive.
Don't forfeit being used by the Lord in what you see as a small way to not be used by him at all because you want to be used in a greater way.
And it has to, you have to put it in
Greater.
quotes. You have to put greater in
Because
quotes.
yeah, there really is no like greater or less than. I think we've just kind of as a society looked at roles and
Yeah.
put value with them.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Lord sees it like that,
Yeah, when that's not the case at all.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another way that comparison can totally hinder you in your relationship with the Lord and your growth is by comparing yourself to another believer based solely on how they're doing or how you're doing in your life with, like, in your pursuit of the Lord, I guess I would
Yeah.
say. So I think there's been times that I've struggled, like seeing you or like seeing our other friends who in the moment or at that time I would consider like, further in their relationship with the Lord or like deeper Christians or whatever. There's been times where I've looked at them and I say, man, like I can't be used in the same way that they have the capacity to be used because, I'm not as deep in my faith as they are, which to some extent is true based on intimacy in the relationship with the Lord. But even me having that mindset is undermining any opportunity that the Lord's presenting to me.
Well,
You know?
And like honestly, here's something I think, I don't know, it just like came to mind, but I think that comparison wants to separate you from community, and I
Yeah.
think that kind of an antidote of it is diving into community.
Yeah.
And so, like we were kind of talking about, rather than, oh, this person's doing like better than me, I want to be upset about this, or I want to get better. I want to get closer to the Lord so that I show them up. Like that's not,
Yeah, that is,
that's
yeah.
not the motivation, but community is there to push you toward the Lord. And so rather than, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take these opportunities to serve the Lord and show you up versus like you get these opportunities. No, walk alongside them,
Yeah.
I think walking alongside that community and like using everything as an opportunity to build them up and to be built up by them, then
Yeah.
kind of creates that one body
Yeah.
view,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, praise God that you are like so on fire for the Lord and you are pursuing him so passionately and so fully in this moment. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Tell me about it and let me know why you are so passionate, why you are so excited. Let me see the Lord as you are seeing him so that I can walk alongside you in that.
Yeah.
Not I'm back here, you're up here, or I want to get up here so that you'll be back here,
I think there's a lot of humility that comes in that response that comes with that response, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I know for myself, I struggle with, well, I'm going to do this like on my own, or like, my walk with the Lord is just my walk with the
Yeah.
Lord. Like it's like, I mean, I believe that while it is super important that it is an intimate walk, like it's a one-on-one relationship. While it is just a one-on-one relationship, there are aspects of it that, just like you said, diving into community and looking at, oh, how did the Lord grow you in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of you going at it alone. Just like you're saying, community definitely promotes a lot more growth and promotes a lot more fruitfulness
Mm-hmm.
in your own personal walk with the Lord, but then in that community that surrounds you, that you're a part of.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're doing it along with them. So if somebody gives you that advice, or, somebody gives you like a nugget of wisdom,
Yeah.
it's like they benefit from that just as much as you benefit
Exactly. Like I don't want to grow in my relationship with the Lord and that be just for me.
Yeah.
And so like with my close friends, I want to share this. It's like the Lord has shown me like he is so good, and I am just so like overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
So I want to tell you why. I want to show you this,
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
yeah.
So what tips do you have for people so that they can grow, as a Christian and to grow in their walk with like what are ways people can battle comparison? And what ways can they turn it into a positive light of promoting growth and community?
See, I think it is diving into the community. So in the comparison, letting them know like where you're struggling, letting them know the struggles, letting them see it how it is, and letting those people be the encouragement that they are, right? The Lord wants them to be there to be an encouragement to you.
Yeah.
He doesn't want you to be motivated by spite to grow closer to him. No, he wants to motivate you through the goodness he's showing you in your life, but also the goodness he's showing other people in their lives.
Yeah.
And so diving into that and then walking alongside them. Whew,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
But yeah, just choosing to walk alongside. We're in nursing school. And so we were just talking about medicine the other day, and we were talking about medical interactions. And one of them, I forgot the name of it, I'm not going to lie. But it's when two medicines are given together, and the result of those being given together is greater than either of them could be like alone.
Separately.
So it's like not 1 + 1 = 2. It's like 1 + 1 = 20, know? And it's like, well, if the Lord uses me like this and the Lord uses you like that, that's great. But let's not like, oh, who's going to be used more? It's like, oh, let's come together and be used by the Lord together. Obviously, like he's still going to use us separately in ways, but like, let's come together with those people and be used by the Lord with them, and then see a greater.
Yeah. So I think, the takeaway would be plant yourself in community and like be intentionally engaged in that community. And then as a result of that, that's exactly what's going to happen is you're going to flourish as an individual alongside other individuals. And then that impact together is going to be way more fruitful than if you just grew on your own.
Come on.
I think for me, I think I have two. I think the first one is the best way to, battle anything, basically anything in the Christian life is to look at the things that the Lord has blessed you with. So when you have a lens of, man, thank you for that. Thank you for the little things. Thank you for a beautiful sunrise. Thank you for the beautiful weather. Thank you for, the friendships that I have. Thank you for the family. When you start looking at the little blessings, it really puts into perspective how the Lord is blessing you in your life. And it really shifts you from the perspective of comparing yourself to others, but looking at the glory of God.
Come on.
And then the second one is kind of something that we already talked about, which is just being content where the Lord has you. Like you talked about.
Easy.
Easy
peasy.
just like that. But being content where the Lord has you, maybe you may want to be at a different place, but the Lord has you where he has you for a purpose that he's going to work in through you.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that be working through a friendship, whether that be working in your family, and whether that even be in your personal relationship with the Lord. He has you where you're at for a reason. And so lean into that, whatever that may be for you guys specifically. So those would be my 2 takeaways.
There we go.
So
I think that's, yeah.
Well, hopefully this episode isn't too long. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Leave us some comments, questions.
Yeah.
Let us know what
For
you
sure.
guys enjoyed. Let us know how the Lord's working in your life. And yeah,